Our goal is to make the best content possible, and we need your help. Please watch this video to see how you can help us help you have a successful retirement and have true peace of mind.
To learn more about securing your retirement and all the different elements you need to know, subscribe to our channel and hit the bell to be notified when we post a video every Monday. We have helped hundreds of our clients gain clarity and get on the path to a comfortable and happy retirement. Now it's your turn. Let's dive in.
Welcome to our wind down. We are extremely happy to be with you today. We have Morgan with us. We have myself and Merce. And so all three of us, and we're in the same studio. We haven't done that in a really long time since COVID came out. But today's wind down is going to be a little bit different than our other wind downs. We hope you enjoy it. But before we get into what we're going to do today, we've talked about our wine because every wind down has wine. So Morgan, what did you pick out for us today?
So I chose the Santa Margherita. It's getting warmer, so a Pinot Grigio is good for this time of year and into the summer. This one is from the Adagi River in Italy, and it's just a good go-to for the summer, warmer weather.
And I'll take care of Rayden's little disclosure that he normally does. It is well into after hours. We're having this glass of wine, and so I hope you don't think less of us as we do this for you.
Yeah, we always say that the market's closed. We're in, late afternoon. Everything's all good for us to do the wind down. We do not record the wind down at 8 a.m. So let me kind of give you a little bit of a setup of what we're going to try to do today. What we have been doing with our wind downs is we have had a couple of professionals on, maybe that have been on the podcast before. Maybe they've shared some information. And then we've had some clients on and some individual guests that says, hey, what are you thinking about in retirement? But as you're listening to this is episode number 77, which is kind of amazing that we are all the way to episode 77. So we thought, hey, we know that we have a lot of new listeners with us. We know we've had people with us since the very beginning. By the way, as you're listening to this, we've had over 80,000 downloads of our podcast. So that's a pretty amazing feat within itself for us. We're excited about that. But we thought we would tell you a little bit about why we started the podcast, what our goal has always been, and maybe how we've evolved. So I'll take it to you first, Merce. Merce, can you just relate to everybody kind of what the reasoning behind doing the podcast was, kind of what we went through and setting this up and what we had to do?
Yeah. So I know a lot of you out there, you know who we are, that we are pretty educational oriented. So if you've been to our workshops or our lunch and learns or our dinner events, you know that we're always talking about different things and things that you should be thinking about when it comes to financial planning and retirement. And so the podcast concept has always been something that has been on our minds. It's always been something that unfortunately got put on the back burner just because we get so busy. And what happened last year, which was something that we hope to never go through again, but it was the coronavirus, the pandemic that hit us in March of last year. And so all of a sudden, we weren't seeing as many clients in office. We were still seeing clients virtually via Zoom, still on the phones, talking to everyone, still putting out our weekly videos and everything like that. Actually, at that time, it was daily. But that gave us a little bit of time to actually think about, hey, how do we want to put this whole podcast idea together? We had no idea how to get started. So there was actually, quite a bit of education that went into it. It wasn't just, hey, let's buy a camera and a couple mics and let's get started. We had to do quite a bit of research, which Rayden kind of tackled, and took a few courses on how to do a podcast. Because if we're going to start it, we're going to hopefully do it well. And it seems like that is what is happening. And also, we're not just going to start it and give up. We had the intention of this running as long as we possibly can. And a big part of that is getting good feedback. And so far, we've gotten some great feedback. And we've only been doing this for a year, 80,000 downloads, 77 episodes. And so the whole concept was, we can talk to people one-on-one, but how can we reach a larger audience? And that's where the podcast really fit in very well. So there's always topics that we think about that we think everyone should know about. Obviously, Rayden and I, we do this every single day. So we know a lot of this stuff, but you may be a pharmaceutical person or maybe a doctor or an engineer, and you're really good at what you do, but maybe you don't really care so much about doing the research and learning about some of these topics that we spend every day with. So we said, well, why don't we just push this out to anyone who wants to listen in a very easy 10 to 15 minute episode. Now it's 10 to 15 minutes. We'll talk about that, the evolution of the podcast as well. But, it's turned into something way bigger and way better than we ever thought it would be.
Yeah. So I got a question for Morgan. Morgan, as we've done this podcast, could you just share some of maybe the feedback you've heard from clients, maybe even what your perception of what we've been able to accomplish on the podcast?
Well, as we all know, I'm not the financial brain in this operation, so I don't geek out so much on the financial aspect, but we cover a couple of different, areas. It's the legacy, it's the lifestyle, and the financial as well. And so it's been fun to take topics that are interesting to all of us in the office, and bring those to life for others, and see how others are managing their lives through retirement, but in daily life.
Yeah. What kind of things have you heard from clients? Have you heard any positive feedback?
Yeah. And that's some of the feedback that I've heard, that it's not just about financial, it's about everything that we're dealing with. It's, the art aspect that we've done, the wellness aspect that we've done, that they've really appreciated hearing different aspects of retirement.
Yeah. So that you understand what I did when I did the tackle of this, as Merce says, I actually hired a consultant he helps people get their podcast started and all that kind of stuff. And we started talking about this idea of what we're going to do and how we wanted to set it up. And he strongly encouraged that you need to have a format that people can understand and expect what they're going to hear. And so he said, look, you need to be careful. If you're going to do interviews, it needs to be very clear when you're doing interviews. And if you're going to do shows where you actually are explaining things, and people just need to know what to expect. And so we came up with this idea that what we're going to do is we're going to have every Monday will be an interview. And that interview could be with somebody in the financial world, as Morgan said, we talk about legacy, that might be like an estate planning attorney, some type like that. Or we could be talking to somebody who's about lifestyle, which we've had people talk about the playing the card game bridge. I mean, we've had that on here. We've had a lot of different, topics. And then every Wednesday, we gave it a theme of retirement in action. And that is really where Merce and I are taking questions that people have that we get in our office all the time, and we explain it, and we just say, let's take it. So here's where we started. When we started, we had this idea in our head. In order for us to cover the topic very well, if we were doing an interview, it probably was going to take around 45 minutes. And very quickly, we started to feel that was too long. And we were getting a little bit of background on the person. And so as we got into it, we just said, we just don't want people to feel like they're, not getting good information constantly. So what we did is we took the interview process to where we said the interview cannot go longer than 30 minutes. And we kind of made that rule. And that made us get into the information much quicker. That made us get to the hard-hitting questions much quicker. And even if we only go 20 minutes, we're okay with that. But we did not want to go longer than 30. And then Merce and I decided on our Wednesday show, which is our retirement in action, is that we would definitely never go more than 30 minutes. But we felt like if we could provide the piece of information we needed to provide, and it only took 15 minutes, then we're going to be done. We're not going to try to prolong this into a longer conversation. And so we've had a lot of positive feedback. We have asked a ton of you to tell us what topic you would like to hear. We've also asked you to give us feedback. So that's kind of what the theme of this particular wind down is we want your help. We want you to tell us what it is that you would like us to maybe focus more on, or if there's something we would do that's irritating, then say, hey, that's irritating. Don't do that anymore. And I'll tell you, there's one you could tell us all day long, but we still have to do it. And that's our opening disclosure. And Merce gets to do the opening disclosure. Merce, how exciting is that for you to do that?
It's just about as fun as it gets. And, at first I had to, because I have to do it every single time. We used to read off of a sheet. And then one time I just, didn't have my sheet in front of me. But it's so ingrained in my head now that it's there forever. As long as, but it's there for a reason. And that reason is that, we are talking to a very broad, diverse crowd. And so we got to make sure that everyone understands that whatever we're saying here doesn't apply specifically to anyone. And that's why it's always good, once again, to contact your financial professional for advice appropriate to your specific situation. So,
So,
I was
okay.
hoping the one that you said we would never get rid of is wind down.
Oh,
'cause
yeah.
clearly that's
Well,
that's the
no,
one I
wind
wanted.
down is okay. I will tell you the purpose of wind down real quick, and then I got another question from Morgan. But so, okay, in our whole setting this whole thing up, we came up with this idea that once a month we would do a wind down. Originally, our concept is that we would, at the end of the month, wind down the month, meaning kind of recap what we did in the month. And we realized very quickly that this is not that interesting because it may be that we just didn't have a month that we needed to recap stuff. And so we just decided, you know what we'll do is we'll just wind down retirement, wind down the topic, wind down whatever people want to talk about. And so as we've had guests on, we just kind of say, what's on your mind when it comes to retirement? I will tell you this, if you're listening and you would ever like to be on our wind down, and you would think, hey, I got questions, I've got thoughts, I've got things I would be interested in. It's extremely easy to be a part of our wind down. All you need to do is call the office, 919-787-8866, ask to speak to Morgan, and she will help you make sure you get on our next wind down, or I'll say on a wind down. And because we think that it's important for people to hear from their peers. So if you're a person that's planning for and living in retirement and you go, I would love to be able to just talk about these things or ask questions about them, it's super easy because you do it right from your home on Zoom. We send you a microphone so that you sound good. And we need that. And we think that's important. We've heard a lot of good, positive things on that. Now, I did want to back up, though, and just tell you another story. So when we first started as well, we came up with this idea that we were going to have this scenario where we had a character, which was like a client. And I think we named her Marianne.
Mm-hmm.
So, and Morgan got to play Marianne, and Morgan would be like a client as if she were maybe sitting with us in the office. And we did a couple of episodes where it was back and forth between us and Morgan. So Morgan, what was it like playing Marianne?
Well, it was fun, but I think it was helpful too, because it kind of helped people understand our process. And now if you came in and you started to talk to us, what it would sound like, what it would be like, what the first, second time that you come and talk to us would sound like.
yeah. I think, sometimes when whether you're going to see a doctor, whether you're going to the dentist or an eye doctor or any type of meeting where you're meeting someone and you're going to talk about, pretty intimate stuff, financial stuff, it's always a little bit overwhelming or maybe a little nerve wracking. And so the whole concept behind bringing Morgan in as a fake client is to kind of give you an idea of, what the types of questions we're going to ask. And then also, ideally, what you got from that is how laid back our approach can be when we're just talking to clients. We're very, very much so about, being comfortable, making sure it's a good fit and everything like that. So I think we did get a lot of good feedback from that, just because, people got to see what that process is like and the benefits of it. So I thought that was great.
And by the way, I will say this, not only does Morgan play a client on podcast shows, but she actually is a client.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things I think, that's interesting about our firm is that every one of our folks that work with us are clients. And so we live what we do in the sense of helping people. So we kind of know some of the things that we're concerned about and some of the things that we're thinking about. So what we would like is that if you have things you would like to know about or questions you have, or you think, hey, you know what, I would like to make this suggestion. We would love to hear it from you. The easiest way to do it is to go to our website, and there is a contact us part of the website, pomwealth.net. Go to the contact us, send us a contact us. If you know our email, go ahead and send us an email. It's pretty easy. It's our first name at pomwealth.net. So it's Radon, R-A-D-O-N, Morgan, and Murs, M-U-R-S. I don't have to spell Morgan. Morgan has a normal name, and Murs and I don't.
Yeah.
So the whole idea is that we really want to make this show continue to be what it is effective. And I will say this, we're episode 77 as you listen to this, and we love it. We have no intention. We actually have our own little studio we've built. So if you watch the video on YouTube, if you happen to see that, We built a little spot here that is for this. That's what it's for, is for us to be able to produce these. So let's quickly, before we end up here, Merce, what's your favorite thing about doing a podcast?
For me, it was at the beginning, it was when it was so brand new, it was just a little nerve wracking because it felt like, if you haven't seen our studio, you're under the lights, you're in front of a big camera. There's these microphones here. We have these fancy microphones, mainly for me, because my voice doesn't carry like Rayden's does. But it was overwhelming and nerve wracking. Even though I knew what I wanted to say, it was just something brand new. Now, my favorite thing is that we've done it so much. We've gotten a lot of good feedback from you guys, which says, hey, we're doing something right. So now it's way more fun for us. We step in, we're in the studio, you hit a few switches, we're all set up, ready to go. And we're in and out recording an episode within, 20 to 30 minutes. And it doesn't take up much of our time. And then the best part about it is getting some good feedback. I'll tell you real quickly, I had a phone call with not a client, just someone who's interested in some of the things that we talk about. And they said, hey, I've been thinking about one of these things called an indexed annuity. And I said, she said, can you tell me more about it? And I said, well, absolutely, we can. And I think the best way is that we actually have a series that we recorded on the podcast. Why don't you go take a look, listen to those on your own time, and then let's get back together and answer any questions that you have. And it's perfect because as we get these ideas, hopefully from you guys, as far as more content and more questions to be answering, well, then we've got this whole library of resources that we can tap into and be able to push out to anyone that has specific questions that we very likely will have already covered or cover in the future. So I think there's a lot of good things going here.
Good. Morgan, what's your favorite thing?
I would say the relatable contact. And then too, obviously the wind downs are my favorite because I get to be a part of them. But I think during the wind downs, and especially through COVID, one of the questions we asked was, hey, what would how are you going to change your life now after COVID? What did you learn from COVID? But then another question that we got to talk to our guests about a lot was, what would the younger you tell the retired you, or the person going into retirement? So I think we touch on all aspects, but also all different ranges of the retirement process for people and what advice we could feed each other. And I like that, the community type feeling.
Very nice. Well, I want to close with this appeal and this plea rather to you, and that is that we would like your help. So again, I want to reiterate, if you would like to be a part of our wind down and you think that that would be something you would like to, again, you have some questions, you have some expert. By the way, expertise could be this. I've been in retirement for 25 years, and here's some things I learned about that. That is invaluable to other people that are getting ready for retirement. So even if you've been in retirement and you say, hey, here's some things I did, here's some things I felt that I did really good, here's some things I felt I made mistakes, or maybe you're wanting to speak to the person who is, 40 something, and you're going, hey, if you could think about this at 40 something, it's going to help you whenever you're in your 60s and 70s and 80s, then we would love to have you on the show. If you say, hey, I want to just give you some pieces of advice, please do that. We would love to get your help. But we certainly do appreciate every single one of you who have been able to give us feedback as well as listen to the show. We hope it's been beneficial. We have no intention in quitting this. We love doing it. We want to provide good information. So thank you so much. We all appreciate it. Have a good day. We'll talk to you next week.
We hope this video has given you some confidence and clarity as you plan for a worry-free life in retirement. But what else do you need? We have created a complimentary video course called 3 Keys to Secure Your Retirement. This video walks you through step by step what you need to do to get ready for retirement. You can also check out our podcast called Secure Your Retirement. You can subscribe below.
For more retirement tips, watch this video. Create your retirement income plan. Also, click here to subscribe to our podcast, Secure Your Retirement. If you like this video, hit the like button and be sure to subscribe and share it with your friends.